seeing all your old faces again. I miss you guys, and it's been a while since we've been touring. And all of a sudden it struck me that maybe we should never take breaks ever again, because No, I'm not saying it. I've been saying it all week. Like, I don't want to admit publicly that I'm like attached to you, but I am, and it's not because you clap after everything I say. Not why. I just think you guys are cool for the most part. Some of you are weird, but most of you I think are really awesome, and I just appreciate you guys, and I'm glad you're here. This DVD was for you guys. I mean, we weren't trying to like win any like awards or anything. We were trying to give you what we hear you guys asking us for, which was for everybody who last 12 years, like, can you please sit on stools and play your songs acoustically again, please? I hate the band, have my keyboards, I hate you, but I love your early music, painting songs. And I'm like, oh my god. Guys. Peter?
So as far as being on the movie, what's been the most unexpected thing about how it's turned out when you see it on the big screen and kind of with all your fans getting watching versus working on it and making it happen?
Well, I think the biggest surprise has been that anyone stays for the whole thing. Like, people go get a pizza and a drink and they'll come back at the end for the Q&A, but people stay. And some of you, these are the weird ones, just kidding, the ones I like the best. They're the ones that stay like multiple screenings. We were in Austin, people saw 4 screenings. You guys were in Austin? No. Oh, you're just here. You smell what I'm saying, like, put the easy on my name. Oh, you saw 2 nights. That's crazy to me. I'm like, anyway, that's wild.
You can tell us later which of these are leave it to your design.
Yeah, totally. You can weigh in about which Q&A was more exciting. But,
I think the internet's deal with stuff too.
yeah, I know. There's cameras and stuff. So it's, Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I didn't have any idea of how this experience it would go, but I definitely think that it's been a little bit more, like, I definitely have felt more insecure than I thought I would. You know what, he has a lot of friends and family going, and I was nervous in a way that I'm not nervous about when we play our live shows. Like, I think I even though sometimes we're self-deprecating and we sort of poke fun at ourselves, I actually think that there's a great deal of confidence, you know, that gets us on the stage every night. I feel pretty confident that Tegan and I can get through, 85% of what we do every night on stage and do it quite professionally. And I think that just comes from habit. You do it over and over and over again, 200 days a year. You know that you're not gonna fail. And this is so fresh and so new that there's no way to control it. Once the film starts going, it really is out of your control. We also don't observe ourselves. You know, we are used to being observed by you, but we're not used to watching you observe us. And that was terrifying. It made me go into a shame spiral a few times where I wondered why you observe us so closely sometimes. And look away.
Never.
But I'm glad it happened. It was a good life lesson. It was fun.
At the end of the film, there's a part of the film where you're performing for like close family and friends. And is it different for you to not just play in front of the people you just mentioned, like to have people who are in the film watch it and see it and react to it, but also who to play in front of them and tell stories, very personal stories with your parents and sitting right there. I mean, was that hard to sort of carry out? Was it just like playing a show where your family and friends might be there, but there's also all these people watching as well?
Well, Sara, as well. I mean, we actually, one of the biggest worries we had about the DVD was the fact that we maybe exaggerate a little bit sometimes, like just small details that we can't remember exactly. Like we're like, 1 out of 6, this happened. And it's like, well, maybe we don't remember every detail of that event. So we were kind of nervous about how our parents.
I was nervous.
Because we tell a lot of stories in the DVD, and we were like 2 days before the screening, I was like, hey, Bruce, stepdad, just wondering if those stories we told are real.
Yeah, it was really nerve-wracking, and it was interesting actually when we were shooting the last film in Vancouver. I actually thought that the show that was going to be the hardest to do would be the fan show, just because it was so intimate, and you know, most of the time for us when we're up on stage, we can't really. You're all beautiful, and you're in our own ways. Like, you're generally sort of just a mass of people. You know, we know it's not easy sometimes to like see you individually for very long because the lights change and all that. But the screening was like really well lit because we were shooting a DVD, you know, and it was like I was very familiar after 5 hours. I was very familiar with every single individual in the place, and I thought that would be the hardest thing, and it wasn't. It was definitely our friends and family. Every time we screwed up, I could see certain people like grimace, you know, like be like, oh man, nervous for us, you know, like, or like I would think like, did my business manager just judge me? Like, is that disappointment on his face? Like, is it not a failure? Or like I'd screw up another song and I would be like, is my stepdad bored? Like, did I just catch him looking at the door? Like, does he want to leave? Like, are we terrible? And like certain friends, I was like, I haven't seen that guy in years. Like, this was really narcissistic. I mean, this is 5 hours. Like, I haven't even seen another last time I went anywhere for 5 hours. I don't even sleep for that long, you know? And I felt like when we finished taping, I needed to like really pound the brakes and just relax a little bit. The moral of the story is it's easy to fail in front of strangers. It's harder to fail in front of friends and family. I would agree with that.
Now, talk a little about the director of the first film, Danny. Like, you had a very interesting connection.
Oh yeah, Tegan and I are friends with Matt Sharp, who was in the original lineup for here, the first what I the first classic records, the Blue record, and also Pinkerton. And then he's down to Rentals, and he just did a wonderful project. And Danny was one of the filmmakers that worked on the project with him. I had seen some of the songs about time, is what the project is called. And there was one film in particular that I thought was really beautiful. And so I asked Matt if he would need Danny's information. So Danny showed up, and Tegan was saying in the earlier Q&A that we didn't really know him in the first day. We were like, oh shit. Like, he seemed stoned, and he kept saying, we would be like, you know, you can't put that part in the film. What I just said was really inappropriate. He'd be like, I'm not recording the sound. And you're like, what the fuck is he recording? And you're like, you're not here to record us talking. What the fuck could you possibly be capturing right now? Me sitting on the bus, Tegan rolling down the hill. Well, it all ended up working out very well. Turns out that's exactly what he was doing.
It wasn't a stunt double.
No! Basically, Sara and Danny were talking, I was walking behind them, and they were like, Tegan, roll down this hill. I was like, and he was like, you guys are so boring, you need to do some action and things. So we went on, Tegan rolled down the hill. We tried to walk fast. I'll do it again. Basically, it's like Mission Impossible, like Candy style.
Mission Impossible.
What?
Mission Impossible.
It's Mission Impossible, exactly.
So, does anyone have a question about the first, about states? So we'll start during the first segment. Okay.
Thank you guys for being here. Special for us students.
Yeah, so I guess in the first one, I was wondering, since it has kind of a different like narrative or tone than some of the other stuff we've done, I was wondering if you could talk about kind of like when you were conceiving that type.
Sure. So the question is sort of about when Sara and I were conceiving all the different films for the project. And, you know, it originally started as you know, it had been 5 years since we put out It's Not Fun, Don't Do It. I don't know how many of you got that DVDs, but that came out like 5 years ago. Yeah. Which was more of like, we had a live concert that we shot for other purposes, and then a bunch of road movies that we filmed ourselves. So this was a little more like, we wanted it to be a little more professional and well conceived and whatever, but it started out as the idea that we would just record every song of Tegan and Sara, like, but acoustically. Like, we even talked about like recording our old band, Plunk. Sara and I had a band in high school, and we were gonna record all those songs. And I was like, let's be real. It's not gonna happen. So at that point, then we cut it down to a smaller number of songs, and then did the live concert. But at the same time, Sara and I brought Annie out, and we brought Ellie out, and it didn't seem like a good idea to mix those three different those 3 different films. So instead, each director sort of went out into their corner, or their wilderness, if you will, and came back with their own film. Like, we didn't really give them any direction initially. So when Danny came back to us, we were mostly just blown away at how great it was, because we were like, you're weird. Are you serious? Like, are you awesome? And he did so sweet. And just like the nicest person on earth. And as it turns out, a really absolutely wonderful human being and person to be on the road with. And Ellie, who filmed was the director for the second film, I mean, she's been our friend since we were teenagers. And at first her film, I mean, it was amazing, but it was like a lot of really personal stuff because we were really candid in front of the camera. And it was like, oh no, this is inappropriate, you can't do that. And then the third film, I mean, that was much more of a production, but again, like, each film sort of started to have a narrative in it, like, you know, all 3 directors on their own, without having seen each other's films, asked us to